AI's global impact is layered. At the top, a small group of countries and companies are building the core models and platforms. Beneath that, a wider network of industries, semiconductors, cloud infrastructure, sensor manufacturers, are enabling the technology to scale. And at the base, in nearly every sector of the global economy, businesses and workers are beginning to adopt AI-enabled tools amid increasing concerns over privacy, safety, and fairness. These layers don't just shape industries, they define how entire countries engage with AI. Some nations are plugged into every level of the value chain, from building the core technologies to deploying them across sectors. Others are barely connected at all, and that's where the real danger lies. AI isn't just reshaping career paths, it's reinforcing global inequality and hardening the divide between those who benefit and those who are left behind. I know many of you are concerned about the ways AI will affect your life, your job, and your future, but I want to focus today on another concern that often goes unnoticed: the growing divide between countries that are ready to harness AI's benefits and those that are not. In low-income nations, people lack even the most basic digital infrastructure. They don't have the compute power or the trained workforce needed to participate in this AI revolution. Meanwhile, wealthier nations are racing ahead, deploying AI to boost productivity and dominate global markets. And here's the disturbing part: the gap isn't just growing, it's hardening. The further a nation falls behind, the harder it becomes to catch up. Building a just and equitable future demands everyone's attention. Let's consider Latin America, Southeast Asia, and Africa. While nearly 60% of jobs in the US and the UK are highly exposed to AI, that figure drops to less than 50% in these regions. And in all the low-income countries, AI exposure is even lower. At first glance, that might seem like a good thing: less exposure, less disruption, but that's not the full story. AI exposure brings opportunity and competitiveness. Among exposed jobs, about half, such as those in healthcare, will gain from AI-enhanced productivity without major job losses. Others, like call center, clerical, and accounting jobs, face a high risk of total displacement by automation. And there's another problem: informality. In low-income countries, more than 2/3 of all jobs are informal, meaning they are unregistered, untaxed, and unsupported. They're hard to digitize, let alone augment with AI. The informal sector struggles to secure loans and financial services, making it difficult to expand and innovate. Digital identity systems are crucial for low-income nations as they help individuals prove their identity, which is essential for accessing services like banking, education, and healthcare. These systems can enhance economic mobility and reduce poverty by enabling participation in the digital economy. In North America, Europe, and many parts of Asia, we see major investments in data centers, chip technology, AI research, and development. These investments are leading to a transformative shift as AI begins to determine winners and losers in the job market. We also see a return on these investments in the form of increased profits and productivity. On the other side of the equation, in poorer developing nations with little AI exposure or training, we expect to see reduced opportunity and greater unemployment. We find that the status quo in these regions is highly resistant to progress. So what can be done to close the gap and foster a more equitable outcome? It starts with formalizing economies, easing business licensing, enabling digital IDs, and unlocking access to credit. We also need digital inclusion, providing digital infrastructure, affordable internet, and education systems to prepare a new generation for the AI age. And smart fiscal policy, including progressive taxes, AI dividends, or even universal income to share the AI productivity gains more fairly. There is a hopeful path forward, and there are some indications that progress can be achieved through the committed efforts of governments, nonprofits, and corporate partnerships. Let's see some examples of what this looks like. In the highlands of Carico and the fields of Macacos, small-scale farmers are using AI-powered apps to diagnose pests, optimize fertilizer, and boost crop yields. One farmer in Uganda, Wandwaki Sadiq, uses an AI tool called Virtual Agronomist to get personalized advice for his maize fields. It has improved his yields and cut fertilizer costs. Another app, PlantVillage AI, lets farmers scan leaves to detect threats like the fall armyworm. Here is a quote from U.S. Ambassador Kip Tom. PlantVillage, from one of our U.S. land grants, Penn State, has shown the important role of artificial intelligence, cloud computing, analytics, and satellite intelligence in cost-effectively fighting the desert locust and other threats African farmers face. Data is critical for both the current threat and future ones when they occur. You must measure and monitor digitally if you want to control. These AI-enabled agricultural tools are producing better crops at lower cost. For example, coffee yields have tripled while reducing water use and eliminating pest losses. Baby steps forward toward progress. Across the developing world, AI's future is still being written. As we have seen, countries vary widely in AI exposure due to their industries and job markets. High exposure, highly prepared economies like the US or Germany may see major productivity gains, but also widespread job displacement, and the profits from AI-driven gains are rarely shared with the workers left behind. Most are forced to adapt or fall through the cracks. The question for these nations mainly involves safety nets and reskilling programs. Low exposure, low access countries may avoid initial disruption, but risk being excluded from the economic benefits entirely. What will be the effective result? Increased poverty, disease, and illiteracy unless access to digital infrastructure and educational initiatives can change the dynamics. IMF projections illustrate this digital divide quite clearly. Countries like the US are expected to see 3 times more economic growth than low-income nations with limited AI access. Even in the best-case scenario, the gap in potential GDP growth persists. Good policy helps, but it doesn't level the playing field. Bottom line, AI exposure is global, uneven, and accelerating. It's reshaping advanced economies from the inside out, and this is effectively widening the divide. Some nations leverage AI tools to achieve greater prosperity, and the rest are being left behind. In many low-income countries, internet access is still out of reach. Today, only 43% of people in sub-Saharan Africa have any access at all, and most of that comes through limited mobile networks. Fixed broadband, less than 1%. But schools can be the key to changing this. Programs like GIGA, a joint effort by UNICEF and ITU, have already connected 6,000 schools and 2.4 million students. Their goal? Reach 25,000 schools and 10 million learners in just the next 18 months. In Kenya, the DigiSchool program provides internet and teacher training to help integrate real-world tools and AI-based lessons into everyday education. In Rwanda, a similar model offers grants to rural schools for hardware and connectivity upgrades. But schools aren't the only places where connectivity matters. In rural areas, medical clinics are often the only point of contact with formal services. Here, AI can save lives. Babyl, Rwanda, a public-private partnership between Rwanda's Ministry of Health, Babylon Health, and the Gates Foundation, is already making this real. With a simple app, patients in remote villages can schedule appointments, receive AI-based triage, and get medication recommendations. Kenya and Nigeria have begun rolling out similar telemedicine pilot programs, aiming to use AI to reduce patient overload, improve triage accuracy, and give local clinics access to specialist-level decision tools. These programs don't operate as charity. They succeed because they're cooperative partnerships. They come into being as co-investments where both local communities and international partners bring something to the table. When schools and clinics are connected, people learn, people heal. Communities see that technology isn't just screens, it's solutions. Students grow up familiar with tools they'll need in tomorrow's workforce. Medical staff get better outcomes. But while these success stories offer hope, they are still the exception, not the norm. In many low-income countries, basic connectivity remains out of reach, especially for schools and clinics in rural areas. As of 2022, 2 out of every 3 schools in sub-Saharan Africa were still offline. Globally, over 500 million students lack meaningful internet access at school. In rural health systems, the situation is just as stark. Many clinics operate without electricity, let alone reliable bandwidth. The gap is widest where it matters most, where a single internet connection could mean a child learning how to code, a farmer accessing early warnings about pest or drought, a clinic diagnosing pneumonia using an AI-powered chest scan. However, one might also think it's always darkest before the dawn. The infrastructure exists, the tools exist, even the partnerships exist. What's missing is scale and the collective will to close the gap for good. As we've seen, AI holds enormous promise, from improving crop yields to powering virtual clinics and classrooms. But these benefits don't just appear on their own. They depend on the priorities of the people and companies building the tools. And that's why we need to talk about ethics, not in the abstract, but in the decisions made every day by a handful of powerful AI providers whose choices shape who benefits, who's protected, and who's left behind. Starting with OpenAI. OpenAI presents itself as the champion of, quote, safe AGI for all humanity, unquote, emphasizing broad access and existential safety. Their messaging centers on long-term societal benefits, abundant resources, scientific breakthroughs, and uplifted economies. But beneath the hopeful vision, questions remain. How deeply are they actually willing to prioritize human well-being over shareholder returns? Their recent shifts toward profit, like moving from nonprofit to a capped profit model, suggest ongoing tension between ethical messaging and commercial reality. Next, consider Anthropic. Legally coded as a public benefit corporation with a long-term benefit trust, Anthropic stands out with ethical principles embedded directly into its legal structure. Its mission of, quote, ethical AI governance by design, unquote, signals a deeper commitment to public interest, potentially more so than competitors who merely tick ethics checkboxes. Yet, when financial expectations press in, will benefit hold firm against pressure to scale or monetize aggressively? That remains an open question. Now let's look at Microsoft. With a mission to empower every person and organization, Microsoft backs global connectivity and digital skills via programs like Airband. Their pragmatic on-the-ground investments, especially in underserved regions, lend credibility to their claim of equitable impact. Still, as a Fortune 10 giant, they must reconcile infrastructure deployment with revenue imperatives. Will they prioritize universal uplift even if the financial return is low? Continuing now to look at Google. Google's AI doctrine focuses on, quote, scientific AGI to advance humanity, unquote, tackling grand challenges in climate, health, and education. Its internal units dedicated to ethics and impact demonstrate structured internal governance. Critics argue that despite Google's stated ethical commitments, its culture still reflects a, quote, move fast and break things, unquote, mindset, favoring rapid innovation over caution or community impact. While the company is making progress on reducing bias in its AI models, that's not the same as ensuring those models actually benefit underserved communities. Balancing commercial data pipelines and public interest will be the real ethical test. Now let's look at Elon Musk's XAI. XAI claims a crusade for truth-seeking AGI with an emphasis on transparency and free speech, a more libertarian stance than its peers. This rhetorical positioning appeals to a certain ideological audience, but it lacks a clear focus on social equity or inclusion. As the platform scales and monetizes through integrations, e.g. with Twitter, we'll see if this libertarian mission can coexist with meaningful ethical restraint or inclusive impact. Lastly, let's consider the Chinese multinational AI corporation Baidu. Known for pushing efficiency-first open AI, Baidu focuses strongly on speed, scale, industrial integration, and Chinese language nuance. Functioning largely within China's national development policy, Baidu's models are structured to serve large-scale, infrastructure-level actors, governments, state enterprises, major tech companies. While this drives transformative efficiency, it also aligns AI with centralized power, raising questions of whose voices and needs are centered or excluded. OpenAI's capped profit versus Anthropic's benefit trust show diverging commitments to public welfare. Also, Microsoft's programs tangibly deliver digital inclusion, while others are still ethnocentric. Still, a bold slogan is one thing, real structural sacrifice is another. Who gets shaped by AI, and who decides its direction? As users, we express our own values through our choices by subscribing, coding on, and leveraging these services in our personal and professional lives. That matters both ethically and practically. By choosing to support the most ethical corporations intentionally, we make it clear that the ethics matter to us. To some extent, that may incentivize corporations to care about the ethical questions related to the deployment of AI. We do make a difference, even if we aren't aware of it. This is how economies work. The 2025 Hamburg Sustainability Conference, sponsored by the United Nations Development Program, issued a clear message. AI's influence is not predetermined. It's shaped by choices about access, education, governance, equity. In high-income countries, AI is already boosting productivity, but for most of the world, those benefits remain out of reach. Why? Because 2/3 of the global population lacks reliable internet, and only 2% of the world's data centers are in Africa and other low-income countries worldwide. The report calls for 3 priorities. Build a pro-worker AI economy with real training and protection. Drive innovation with intent, focused on sustainability and inclusion. Build capabilities where they count the most, especially in education and healthcare. It also urges multilateral cooperation, like the CODES initiative and the UN Global Digital Compact, to ensure no region is excluded from the AI future. This isn't just about machines, it's about people, and whether technology uplifts or divides. The future depends on what we build and who we include. As artificial intelligence begins to transform our world, the most important thing to remember is this: we are not powerless. We make choices every day about what we click, share, support, and ignore. Some companies are building AI with transparency, safety, and the public good in mind. Others prioritize speed, profit, or control. Our individual decisions help shape which vision wins. We also have the power to support bold global efforts to close the digital divide. Initiatives like UNICEF's GIGA are wiring schools with internet access in underserved regions. Microsoft's Airband is connecting rural communities with broadband and digital skills. Babylon's Babyl, Rwanda brings AI-powered telemedicine to those without doctors. And ISDA's virtual agronomist helps small farmers use mobile AI tools to grow more food and build resilience. But most critically, we can vote. The leaders we elect and the policies they champion will determine whether AI becomes a force for surveillance and inequity or a means to dignity, education, health, and opportunity. This isn't science fiction, it's already underway. The future isn't being written for us, it's being written by us.